He thought his money made him untouchable until the judge said two words that changed everything. The courtroom was packed. Cameras lined the back wall. Reporters whispered to each other, tapping notes on their laptops. The air held that heavy silence unique to high-profile trials, the kind where everyone in the room knew they were about to witness something historic. And at the center of it all sat Richard Sterling, a man worth billions, a man who built his empire with sheer cunning and ruthlessness, a man who believed the rules applied to everyone but him. Sterling lounged back in his seat, completely unfazed. He was dressed in a tailored gray suit, crisp white shirt, no tie, because why bother? This wasn't a man who played by anyone's standards. His cufflinks alone probably cost more than the average juror's annual salary. His expression, pure amusement. This was just another meeting to him, another boardroom where he could manipulate the players and walk away untouched. The murmurs in the courtroom died down as the bailiff stepped forward. All rise. The room moved as one. Reporters, attorneys, spectators, even the jury, all standing in respect for the judge about to enter. But not Richard Sterling. He stayed seated, arms crossed, smirking. A murmur spread through the courtroom like a ripple in still water. The reporters took note. The jury stole quick glances at him. The prosecuting attorney tightened his jaw, already sensing what kind of day this was going to be. And then Judge Mia Adams entered. She was a woman who commanded respect without needing to ask for it. Mid-50s, sharp eyes, a calm but unwavering presence. She had seen arrogance before, entitled executives, corrupt officials, wealthy men who believed power was a shield. She barely glanced at Sterling. She didn't flinch, didn't pause, didn't acknowledge the blatant display of arrogance. She simply took her seat, adjusted her robe, picked up the file in front of her. Court is now in session. Her voice was steady, controlled. But the energy in the room had already shifted. Because everyone was wondering the same thing. What was Richard Sterling trying to prove? And more importantly, what was he going to do next? But whatever they expected, they weren't ready for what was coming. A thick silence clung to the air, stretching uncomfortably across the room. Everyone had seen it. Sterling's refusal to stand wasn't just arrogance. It was a statement. A low murmur rumbled through the crowd, the kind of hushed whispers that only happen when people are trying to make sense of something they know is wrong but can't quite believe they just witnessed. One of the reporters, a young woman with a notepad covered in shorthand scribbles, leaned toward her colleague. "Did he just?" she whispered. "Yeah." The court clerk barely flicked his eyes toward Sterling, his expression unreadable. The bailiff, standing firm near the judge's bench, shifted slightly, waiting for a cue from the judge. But Judge Adams? She didn't react, didn't pause, didn't look his way. She simply continued moving through the formalities like nothing had happened. It was a move only a seasoned judge could pull off, not giving men like Richard Sterling the satisfaction of knowing they'd rattled you. But everyone else in the room? They weren't as composed. The jury exchanged quick glances. Some of them, mostly older members, pressed their lips into a thin line, their irritation visible. Others seemed uncertain, glancing at Sterling as if trying to gauge if this was a stunt or something deeper. The prosecutors at their table were tight-lipped, focused, but their lead attorney was gripping his pen with white-knuckled intensity. On the other side of the room, Sterling's legal team remained still, practiced, unreadable. They were used to his antics. They had been paid handsomely to pretend nothing was ever out of place. But even they knew this was different. Sterling wasn't just another rich man with an expensive lawyer. He was a man who had spent decades bending the world to his will. And now he was facing Judge Mia Adams, a woman who didn't flinch in the face of power, a woman whose record was impeccable, who didn't care about money, didn't care about influence, didn't care about the games men like Sterling played. She was here to serve the law. And today, the law had come for Richard Sterling. The cameras in the back of the room caught everything. The footage of him sitting, refusing to acknowledge the court's authority, was already being uploaded, already making its way into newsrooms, onto social media, onto television screens. But Sterling? He looked bored. like a man who had already decided the outcome, like a man who knew something no one else did. And then the charges were read aloud. That's when the energy in the room shifted again. But this time it was much worse.